Hey gang, Ronan here. As you can see in this game, I'm playing the Tier 10 US Destroyer gearing. In terms of what I'm facing here, yeah, there's a midway, that's always ugly. A fair amount of radar in the form of a couple of Woosters. There's Smolensk and Yoshino, both of which represent a pretty big threat to any destroyer. Enemy DDs gearing, 2 Shimas, and a Holland. Holland Torps, of course, are, well, they move at the speed of light. So if they're on track to hit you, it's pretty hard to get out of their way. Shima Torps hit very hard, and gearing Torps have very long range, potentially, usually. I've spawned south of the Charlie Cap, so that will be my goal. Now, one of the things about this map, especially spawning on this side, is that rushing straight into the Charlie Cap very often invites a lot of torpedoes. A lot of torpedoes. And since there are a couple Shimas in the game, it would not be hard for them to cover, well, even one Shima, to cover basically like Delta 8 and Delta 9 with one 15 torpedo spread. So I generally will avoid going into Charlie early. I'll get real close, but I don't want to tell them that I'm there, and I don't want to tell them where I'm at. Especially in a game where you've got a CV, I don't want to advertise, hey, come find a DD here. Now I'm looking at the minimap, and I see a couple of Darings and a Shimakaza on our team that are all getting close to the cap. And I'm thinking to myself, one of them is going to cross that line and start turning the cap. Now you can see in the Charlie Cap and the Bravo Cap, they've already started ticking red. And I have some idea based on my radio location indicator where the bad guys are at. Now I'm watching that pretty carefully. I want to get some idea, and I'm looking to see if it's going to move. I see the Wooster there. I do not want to get caught by him. So I'm going to keep moving this way. I'm not going to advertise I'm in the cap by getting in it just yet. And I'm going to torp in what I consider the most likely area for that destroyer to be. And if he is in here, he's probably going to continue crossing toward the same direction that I'm going. Now they're about to take the cap, but they're not going to get many points for it. Now I'll tell them I'm here. Look where my torpedoes are at. They're already halfway across the cap. And if there's anybody there, they're not going to have a whole lot of time to react to the fact that I'm in the cap too. Now I need to angle up, because you saw my radio position finder just changed. I did catch somebody there. And take out a Shima. So I know there's another destroyer north of me. I've got to angle up. Not fast enough. So I'm going to eat a torpedo. It's not going to kill me. Now I'm looking at the guys that are south of me. Got a Des Moines, a Montana, and a Yoshino. Montana and Yoshino, predictably, behind the island, can't really shoot anything. Des Moines is at least in position to be able to radar, but he knows I just took out a Shimakaza, so, okay, so I'm detected. I want to try to get eyes on him. There he is. Now I'll move forward. Now I want to change my line a little bit here because he's an experienced player and he's obviously good at blind firing. Now what am I doing here? I've got torpedoes. I do not want to show broadside to the Shima. I'm going to throw torpedoes out in the lanes. You saw that I fired them into areas between islands. Now there are still 3 destroyers in the game, plus a Smolensk, plus those 2 boosters. So what I'm trying to do there is the same thing I was doing with the first strike. Trying to catch destroyers. When they're not seen, they feel comfortable to traverse areas between islands. And that's my thinking. Maybe I catch one. Now you can see in the chat there, I was not happy with the fact that the Montana and the Yoshino, they're on the 10 line, basically hugging the edge of the window there. They're looking at pretty hard. And And I'm almost positive at this point Yoshino's just going to get blapped without doing anything in this game. Des Moines is at least trying. He's here mixing it up in the thick of it. So my hat's off to that guy right there. And, you know, Montana and Yoshino, again, they're just moving behind the island. Now, they know there's a Shima up there. And I can understand a certain amount of caution. But they're really not doing anything. Meanwhile, our team has managed to secure the Alpha cap. And our two Darings are working very hard to try to get the Bravo cap. You can see the enemy CV is working very hard to kill the Darings. Enemy Holland takes out our Shimakaze. And I am again torpedoing gaps. In particular, between Charlie 6 and Bravo 7. I know there's a Yamato up there, there's a couple of Worcesters up there, and there's still a Shima. Now, if I was the Shima, I'm not sure I would be worried too much about Montana and Yoshino. I would have already thrown torpedoes that way. I'm sure they're back up. They're probably on the way there now. And I'd be crossing toward Bravo. The goal now for the enemy team, just like it is for us, is to secure Bravo. We've already got Alpha, they've already got Charlie. They don't have to worry too much about Montana and Yoshino, unless that entire flank collapses. Montana and Yoshino are not going to push in. So I see the gearing there, and I just want to bring everyone's attention that way. I can see the Des Moines is coming with me. I'm going to use the torpedo indicator anytime he's lit up. I've still got those torpedoes crossing that gap.
We've sunk an enemy
And there's the guy that hit me earlier. I managed to catch him with two. Must have been pretty much broadside. You can see there he was. He was maneuvering. It looks to me like to basically cross this way. You can see his ship was pointed this way. Now I'll go to work on the gearing. Now I can use his smoke. That's just in case he runs that way. I can use his smoke to cover me. I'll throw those out there preemptively. But he's going to turn in and try to get back toward his Worcesters. I do not want that to happen, so I'm going to get forward again. And I managed to finish him off. Now, if he did get torps away, I'm guessing he probably threw him across toward the Darings, but try to get my nose to him at least a little bit here in case. I'm watching the Worcester. I do not want to get in radar range. So, if you're keeping track, that's a gearing and two Shimas with torpedoes, just covering lanes. Just where might they go as they're not being seen? You know, where could they be? I don't have any other good targets. The Worcesters and the Yamato were obviously doing a good job hiding behind islands. So I used the torpedoes, which reload fairly quickly. And yeah, of course, a certain amount of luck involved there. But what's that old thing about you don't take the shot, there's no way you can make the shot? Something along those lines. And one thing I will add while we got a little bit of a break in the action here is that occasionally, let's look at the minimap. Okay, go out to Bravo 7, you see that island there. Occasionally on this map, and there are others where this is also true, a destroyer will, rather than sitting in the gap or rather than traversing, will go up and sit next to the island, because a lot of experienced destroyer players know that other experienced destroyer players are going to be torping the gaps, so they will sit right in front of an island because it decreases the chance of random torpedo catching them. So occasionally, if I know where somebody's at and I'm using the radio location skill, which I generally do on all my higher tier destroyers, you can catch someone sitting next to an island where they think they're relatively safe. And that Worcester's in big trouble. With only 3,900 hit points, somebody's going to catch him. And our Daring's pushing into that cap. Now we've got the Bravo cap. Daring does take out that Worcester. Now I've got to watch my range here to the enemy Worcester. But right now this game's looking pretty good. If you're looking at the scoreboard, we're up considerably, 180 points. We're down 3 ships. Bad guys are down 5 ships. And they've only got 1 destroyer. We've still got 2. That is an advantage. Do I push right into the cap? No. I think I'm going to sit here and try and get some torpedoes out on the Yamato. If he moves, great. If he doesn't, well, then he's liable to eat some torpedoes. Now my guess there was that he would turn to get behind the island just south of him and to his right, to his starboard side. Our Shikishima finishes off the enemy Yoshino. I'm going to get out of the way of these aircraft. I don't want to get spotted. But even not being seen, Yamato he felt a disturbance in the force and decided he was going to move. So those torpedoes aren't going to hit anything. Now our Mino is down there facing off with a Holland at Alpha. We've got a Shikishima and a Thunderer and a Des Moines and a Daring sitting in the Bravo cap. Our Hack is right behind them. And I've got Montana out here with his guns pointed north. Presumably to put shells on Yamato or Worcester should he poke his head out from behind the island. I've got 17 seconds till my torps come back up. Now, I'm not counting on being able to do anything with these torps at this point in the game because there's so many people that are going to be shooting at the Yamato. In fact, I smoke up here to get guns on him, and you'll see I'm not even going to get the chance to do that. So, wasted smoke, but that's the way it goes. Now, Worcester's 12.5 kilometers away. I do not have to worry about getting radared. He has to worry about getting blapped, because he's got a whole lot of bad guys aiming at him right now. If he's got the commander skill, he's probably looking at a large number of ships pointed his way, and he's got the attention of the CV as well. So he's running north, and I can just follow him and get in the cap. Now this game's not going to last long enough, but if it did, I'd be able to cap it. He would probably not be able to get close enough to use his radar. I'm going to throw some torps out here, just in case. And the fact that that our Daring just burned down the Republic means only 53 points and we have the game. So, for me at least, this game is a great example of using your torpedoes to screen out areas. And in this case, again, I'm the first one to acknowledge I got lucky. But when you throw torps into areas where you consider it likely that destroyers might be traversing, thinking that they're relatively safe because they're unseen, sometimes you can catch them. And in this case, I caught 3. And I think it really made a difference in this game. So I will say at this point, since this is almost over, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I hope you got something out of this. If you did, if you enjoyed watching this, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.